Good day everybody, Johan Swart, Boerboel Academy, the place where we share knowledge about the breed, where nothing is withheld, where things are spoken about openly and honestly. Now, a question that I've been asked a couple of times now, and which I've been not thinking about, but not realizing that people don't understand this, is what is a Boerboel? What is a Boerboel? Now, it's actually a very loaded question. First of all, to describe what a Boerboel is, one has to understand the difference between various dog breeds that we have nowadays, the modern dog breeds. First of all, we have heritage breeds. There are very, very few heritage breeds left in the world. Heritage breeds were the breeds that you inherited from somewhere. It's ancient stock, it's ancient DNA, it's ancient stuff, and there are laws and genetic agreements across the world to protect this. You have a heritage breed, and then you have a created breeds. Created breeds are a breed where somebody decides, I want to take a poodle and a Yorkie and I'm going to put them together and I'm going to create a porky or something like that, and that's the new look that I want. It's the Rhodesian Ridgeback, for instance, was a priest that lived in the Northern Cape, a person of the cloth, that decided that he wanted to create a certain look. He wanted to create a certain dog, and he used specific dog breeds, and he interbred them until he got the look that he desired. And he didn't describe it very well. Somebody in Rhodesia, the old Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, decided to describe this dog breed that came from this specific breeder. That is a created breed, right? Is the Boerboel a created breed or a heritage breed? It became very clear that the Boerboel is a heritage breed. Now, a heritage breed has to be handled very differently to a created breed. A created breed, you can also say, the creation didn't stop here. With a heritage breed, you are supposed to protect what you have. You have to guard and safeguard the genetic stock that you have, because it leads back to ancient times. It leads back to a time before breeders were actually involved. I wrote a book about that. I did research because everybody told me, the dogs came from Europe with the Dutch guys. But you know that before the Dutch arrived in South Africa, for 150 years, we had other people going past the Cape of Storms, the Cape where Cape Town is now. It's estimated that about 10,000 people went around the Cape before Jan van Riebeeck arrived. So there were multiple other possible sources of these dogs, and where did they come from? Does the breed still exist? Or is this the last remnants of an ancient breed that was left in Africa to fend for itself a very long time until breeders became involved? So we've got to make those distinctions, first of all, in the Boerboel. And it's very clear the Boerboel is a heritage breed. That's number one. Number two, is a Boerboel a large dog? Yes, it's medium large, but not excessively so. And is any large dog a Boerboel? No, most definitely not. Is any large dog with a black face a Boerboel? No, most definitely not. So how do you, in visual terms, describe a Boerboel? To describe a Boerboel, there's actually about 65 different aspects in the overall appearance of the dog that we've got to study. Some of them have got a lot of subsections that we've got to have a look at. And that in time became very confusing, and people decided to attach a score to that. And now it became all about the score. It's not about the score. It's about, can this animal positively contribute to the breed or not? This animal that's in front of the evaluator, can it positively contribute to the breed? Yes, then you keep it. If it can't positively contribute, or if it's going to contribute negative traits to the breed, then you've got to cut it out. So it's actually not a score that's being awarded. It's a decision that has to be made. Yes, is this a positive contributor or not? If it's not a positive contributor, you have to disqualify it. You can't allow it into the breed if it's going to cause damage to the breed. And I think that's very logical. So yes, to describe a Boerboel is a little bit difficult, but there are certain traits, especially on the heads of the dogs. For instance, the level of the roof of the skull and the level of the nasal bone is very typical. The flatness of the roof of the skull, the positioning of the ears, the positioning of the eyes, the length of the lips, the blockiness of the nasal bone as well as the skull are all descriptors which are critical. They're part of the identity of the breed. So if the breed identity says the roof of the skull of the dog must be flat, and you bring a dog with a rounded dome, is that positively contributing? No, it's not. However, if I look at the dogs that I see in front of me and the dogs that have been appraised, it's nowadays based on a score. Oh, can this dog score more than X? The whole purpose of the evaluation, and that is to determine if this animal will positively contribute to the betterment of the breed or not, has been forgotten, and it has been replaced by some mathematical calculation of, yes, I like this, no, I don't like that very much. No. The breed standard gives you very exact rules and a very exact measurements. And it's possible to attach a score to that, but the score is not the ultimate aim. The ultimate aim is to determine, does this dog fall in a certain percentile which we find acceptable to contribute to the breed. If in doubt, cut out. And those are the hard facts. That is what we're supposed to look at. The next thing that is very typical of the Boerboel is the temperament of the Boerboel. And that's being totally ignored. Very few organizations in the world actually test the temperament of the Boerboel. The Boerboel has to have a specific temperament in order for it to be a Boerboel. Like it has to have a certain appearance, it has to have a certain behavior. And the behavior is a protective behavior, not aggressive behavior. It is a compliant behavior. It will listen. It is biddable. It must be able to understand what you're saying and also to heed your instructions. Right? So that's the temperament. It has to have a certain mobility. Now we look at, when we do the appearance of the dog, we look at things like angulation, etc. And structure of the paws and drive, etc. But mobility is a very critical thing. And I want to propose that eventually we have a simple mobility test for Boerboels. Many years ago, I attended an appraisal of Boerboels in Texas. And the lady who organized this set up a very simple mobility test. She had some structure there, some object, that the owner and the dog had to be able to get onto this object and to get off on the other side. And it was amazing. Some of the dogs refused. They could not jump half a meter high. They could not get on. The owner would get onto the obstacle and the dog couldn't follow them. Some of them, when they went through a little bit of a run, when they came back, the dog was swaying all over the place. The mobility was just purely bad. Now, why aren't we testing for that? The breed standard describes that the dog must have fluent and unencumbered movement, but we're not testing for that. We are really just ignoring it because it's something, oh well, we're making enough money with the appraisals. No. It's not about that. It's about the breed. And do you do the breed the justice that it deserves? I don't believe we do. Right, so it has to have a certain appearance, it has to have a certain temperament, it has to have a certain mobility. Then it has to have certain genetics. Nowadays with genetic tests is bloody easy. You know, I now see lilac Boerboels coming out. Man, there's never been a lilac Boerboel. Right. So genetically we must describe that the following genetics are acceptable in the dog. And the following is not acceptable. Merle. Is merle an acceptable color for a Boerboel? I've seen merle puppies. So guys, don't tell me it's not in the Boerboel. You are allowing it because you are not describing it as a negative and you are not testing for it. It's simple. If you don't test for it, you're allowing it. Right. We should have described long ago what the genetics are that are allowable and which are not. But unfortunately, the genetic tests were not available. So this is a new thing, and we've got to sit down and expand the breed standard to say these are the genetics that's allowable and these are not allowable. Right? It's got to have a certain health standards. Otherwise, a Boerboel is not known to be a sickly dog. It's supposed to be able to survive in Africa. It doesn't have heart murmurs and all types of conditions and collapsing elbows and absolutely rotten hips and sway backs and all types of allergies. Those are all negatives that the breed are not known for. And if a dog suffers from that, can this dog positively contribute to the breed or not? That's the question we must ask. And at some stage we'll have to draw a very harsh line now. And I believe the start of that line, and to make it palatable, would be to recognize a category of Boerboels that have been appraised by whichever organization which meets a higher standard, and that standard is that of the traditional Boerboel. So yes, let's start and set up a panel consisting of some of the really old appraisers and people that comes from the real background of the dog. And that understand the true Boerboel. We can ask the Registrar of Animal Improvement in South Africa perhaps to appoint these people so that it's not organizational based. And that these people then get together and you can submit your dog and you can say, I want to know if my dog meets the criteria for a traditional Boerboel. And that panel will say yes or no. Because it's a simple question. It's not about a score. It's about, can this dog contribute to the traditional image of the Boerboel or not? And it's going to be surprising for a lot of people. It's going to be quite a shocker if a lot of the champions and so-called highly lauded dogs don't make it, because they are not representative of what the breed is. So I think I've answered the question about what a Boerboel is. A Boerboel has a certain appearance, it has a certain behavior, it has a certain temperament, it has a certain genetics, it has certain mobility, and it shows certain health traits. I described this in a book, The Breed Identity of the Boerboel, because breed standard means nothing. Breed standard is written by a committee who is in power at that stage. And there are so many breed standards out there now that I had to do a study and come up with the old original stuff and draw from that and science and draw up a breed identity of the Boerboel breed. And it's available in a book. It's an e-book only. It's not printed because it's a 307-page e-book on A4 size. So if we had to reduce it to A5, it would be a 600-page book. It's not light reading. It's not light going. It's not the type of book you can read on a Sunday afternoon lying on your bed giggling about Johan. That's funny. No. No, I'm funny at times, yes, but not when it comes to the breed. Okay, so if you are interested, go to lulu.com. lulu.com. The book is available on that platform. It's an ebook platform. Go to books for sale. Search bar will pop up. You simply put in the word Boerboel and both my books will appear. Their prices have been dropped radically, so to spread the information as widely as possible. Download the book and start reading it. It's not easy going, I promise you that, but it is worthwhile. If you think you want to know about the breed, you have to put in some sweat. So I thank you. I thank you for really supporting me. If you want to send me any personal questions or you want to know certain things, I cannot answer everything. I really try, but I've only got X hours in a day. And I will help you if I can, but most of the time I can't. It's just the volume is too much. Send me an email to boerboelboek@gmail.com. That's how you can contact me. And in the meantime, from Mozambique, and from a beautiful, beautiful day, I thank you and I wish you all of the best, and may your dogs have a good life.